Hello, everyone, and welcome to listen in to our webinar, RFID in Pharma, the Invisible Bridge from Laboratory to Point of Care. We are quite excited to have all of you joining in to explore with us the transformative power and potential of RFID technology. My name is Jessica Säilä, and I head up marketing at Vilant Systems. We are an RFID systems integrator, and we host this webinar with cooperation with our RFID tag manufacturing partner, Avery Dennison. And before we kick off, I want to remind everyone that there is a Q&A function so that you can enter questions to our team at any time. We have reserved some time at the end of the presentation to view all the questions that you've entered. So please be active, challenge us, and post your questions. Now, let me tell you something about our webinar. We wanted to provide you a comprehensive perspective on the implementation and considerations of RFID technology. So we have, for that reason, generated two imaginary pharma companies, Genuine RX Pharmaceuticals and BioHealth, just for this webinar. By featuring both an implementer, that would be Genuine RX, and a potential adopter, BioHealth, we hope to provide a balanced view of RFID capabilities and the factors to consider when making an investment decision. I truly hope that you will gain a deeper understanding of how RFID can transform the pharmaceutical operations from lab all the way over to the patient. Furthermore, I trust we can help you out in thinking about the key considerations for a successful technology implementation. And now, let's introduce our speakers. First up, we have Erik Ang, Director of Operations at Genuine RX Pharmaceuticals, a pioneer in implementing RFID across their operations. Erik, tell us a bit about your experience.
Hi, thank you, Jessica. Yes, in our company, we have embraced RFID to optimize several key areas like logistics, manufacturing, and retail. And today, I am eager to share about our learnings today.
And joining Erik is Jenny Krohn, Supply Chain Manager at BioHealth, who is currently evaluating the benefits of RFID. Jenny, what are your key considerations?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. We're really seeing the potential of RFID, especially when it comes to addressing challenges like counterfeiting and improving supply chain visibility. So as we're in the middle of evaluating which processes would benefit from the most, I'm really keen to hear Erik's insights today.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And here for all of you, this is our agenda for today. We'll start with the foundation in RFID technology, what it is and how it works. Then we'll dive into the diverse applications of RFID across our four key areas: laboratory, manufacturing, the supply chain, and point of care. And at the end, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. And again, I urge you to enter your questions for us. Now, in order for everybody to understand what we are talking about, let's quickly review what RFID technology is and what are the main benefits associated with it. So RFID stands for radio frequency identification. In short, we talk about the wireless communication technology, something that you cannot really see, yet it connects billions of everyday items to the internet, enabling businesses and consumers to identify, locate, authenticate, and engage with each item throughout its life cycle. For example, a pharmaceutical. When an RFID tag is attached to a single object, like the syringe in this picture, the object gains a unique identity. From that point onwards, RFID readers equipped with suitable software applications are able to identify those products and using the radio chip on the tag. Once the RFID application has identified the object, it will relay that data further to an RFID middleware that collects and consolidates the data and integrates to enterprise business systems. For example, laboratory information management systems, warehouse management systems, and ERP, so that those systems can further monitor and analyze the data. The RFID technology offers several benefits over traditional identification and tracking methods. It is a proven technology. Already today, tens of billions of items are tagged in industries such as apparel. Companies like Zara, Decathlon, and Walmart have used the technology for years, and they are managing their inventory and ensuring availability for online shoppers with the help of it. The RFID technology connects the physical and the digital world. What I mean with this is that once objects have been equipped with RFID, and we call it item level serialization, each object then has a unique identifier. Rather than what you would know from your everyday shopping, namely barcodes, they typically just identify a product type or a badge. With RFID, we can prevent counterfeiting and theft by verifying the unique identifier, and thus we can protect both brand value and patients from fake products. This technology requires no line of sight thanks to the radio operation. It also ensures the fast and accurate operations. So let's take a concrete example. A test in a warehouse showed that counting clothes with reading a barcode on them meant that you could read 250 items, 250 per hour, compared to an astonishing 25,000 items with the help of RFID. So the use of this technology is 100-fold faster, and given that the reading is autonomous, the chance of mistakes is minimal. You cannot really scan the wrong item. You will scan all of them. And as the technology we discussed today is so-called passive technology, it means that the tag or the label has no battery, but rather it gets awoken by the RFID reader. This makes it nearly maintenance-free because the tags will work, well, I would say almost forever. There is no need to change batteries. That might be the case with some other active technologies. So overall, RFID technology can provide significant benefits to businesses and organizations by improving efficiency, accuracy, visibility, security, automation, and compliance. We will see how they reflect looking at the key application areas of RFID in pharma, laboratory, manufacturing, supply chain, and point of care. And let's get things started. So let's go first to the laboratory. Now I'm curious to see and start with you, Jenny. What are some of the challenges that you face in your internal laboratory?
Thank you, Jessica. So we face challenges mainly in two areas when it comes to sample management. First of all, we are either losing or spoiling samples, which slows us down, costs us money, and can even mess up our results. For example, last year we had to raise over 50 quality issues due to just lost samples. That costs us tens of thousands of euros in investigation fees. Secondly, we're spending way too much time, up to 6 hours a day, on manual tasks like scanning barcodes and updating the laboratory information management system, also known as LIMS, when our skilled people could be doing much more important things. So we would like to find ways to automate some of this to free up their time and reduce errors.
Avery, you mentioned that you have implemented RFID in your laboratories. Did you face similar challenges as the ones described by Jenny here?
Yep, absolutely. So RFID has been really a game changer for us in these areas. We use it to track samples, regions, and equipment to ensure accurate identification and of course also to reduce human error. And this has significantly speed up our research and development processes. So in the past, we had many instances where we are losing samples due to spoilage. For example, someone just left it there on the table for too long out of refrigeration, and we just have to throw them away. Especially in clinical trials, there's no room of losing sample, either completely or by storing them in an unfavorable conditions. Another sample might give flawed results, and especially with biopsies, there might be no chance of getting another type of samples. And also another issue was that it took us too much valuable high-skill researcher time to look for this missing sample and manually scanning the barcodes. Can you believe how much hours we spend a week on this kind of task? And now, by removing this, having RFIDs handling, we remove completely this manual scanning and updating the LIMS, so laboratory inventory management systems, and the new system now save up to 26.5 hours per week for us.
Eric, could you help us understand how your system works?
So in our new systems, every sample to be processed has an RFID tag attached to it, so which gives them a unique digital identity. So in the laboratory level, RFID gates or tabletop readers are installed at the key workflow checkpoints. For example, like sampling, storage, analysis, and disposal. RFID readers register this unique identifier as the sample passes through each stages. At this stage, no manual scanning is required. And each of every single stages, the product status is updated in the LIMS based on the data we receive from the RFID systems. So as a result, the laboratory has an on-demand access to accurate sampling data and allow us to monitor storage condition in real time and easily locate specific sample when it is needed. It has also minimized the risk of misplacing or misidentifying critical materials.
Thank you, Eric. So, Jenny, how would you see this applying to your labs at BioHealth?
Well, this sounds very relevant for us, especially when it comes to improving accuracy and efficiency in our labs. So thank you for sharing, Eric.
Moving on to manufacturing, Jenny, can you share what kind of or what types of challenges you associate with pharmaceutical manufacturing?
I would say our largest challenges are linked to improving operational efficiency. There are many blind spots in our manufacturing process, and it's hard to make improvements when you can't see or measure the issue. And overall, I feel like the whole pharmaceutical industry is really lagging behind when it comes to digitalization and efficiency improvements, at least when you compare to many other industries such as automotive or aerospace. So I think we could really do better in this space.
Thank you, Jenny. Interesting thoughts. So, Eric, do you share the same challenges? And can you tell us why you started using RFID in your production lines?
Absolutely. I agree with you, Jenny, on the challenges in improving operational efficiency. But there are also other challenges that lead us to look into RFID technology as an enabler of digitalization. So as we have implemented a platform approach where multiple different drugs are packaged into the same type of container or the same manufacturing line, we see the rising risk related to potential mix-up. So drug mix-ups are costly in terms of staff time and lost product. Any quality issues can lead to increased drug shortage. So technology like color-coded ring that are used to distinguish different batches from each other are getting even more difficult to implement, especially when the complexity increases. So the only way to combat this challenge is to uniquely distinguish between each individual container, and in this case, a prefilled syringes, or in short, PFS. We also foresee that there will be even more and more regulatory requirement for higher traceability during manufacturing is required. So in that case, we chose RFID to achieve this unit level traceability.
Thank you. Interesting. So if you help us to understand the unit level traceability a bit better, could you explain how it works?
Yep. So as you can see right now, we fill our liquid drugs into PFS. And we also, of course, so there was a question maybe like, okay, have you been looking also into different technologies? Yes, we did. We have been also looking into barcodes for this unique identification. But later on, it's really clear to us that RFID was the only viable mass reading solution for a fast-moving manufacturing line. Because, as simple, it does not need the line of sight or a rotational step to be read, unlike barcode scanning. Also, when RFID tag has been embedded into the PFS itself, it won't affect the visual inspection process. And we purchase this PFS directly from a manufacturer that has been incorporated with RFID component into the products. So each of them has an RFID tag on the tip can, and they are packaged in the nest that fits up to 160 syringes. The nest also have its own tag. That's what we call a nest tag. And there is an aggregation of the so-called parent-child relationship between these serialized syringes and the serialized nest. And these facilitate the reading of tag at different points of our manufacturing process, because then you only have to read the nest tag. So information of each syringes were then together stored in the cloud. So let me help you to try to understand more concretely step by step. So the manufacturer of the syringes read the tag and the nest at the end of our manufacturing process and share the data with us. So the picture starting on the left shows the setup where syringes are read at the unit level as they move along the production line. And these ensure that each syringes is uniquely identified. Whereas the picture on the right shows instead of reading each of them individually, a single tag on the nest is being read with a nest antenna, and of course provide us as a bulk level identification. We also read the item at the start of the filling process to create a permanent link between the serial number and the drug filling informations. And this way, the production line manager gain precise data on what is inside each of them, location and time at each production stages. This unit level accountability automates reconciliation, accelerate our line clearance, and ensure no container is left behind. And also, the system ensures real-time detection of potential mix-up, as indicated by the blue liquid right there in the image. Each syringe carries an unique identifier, thus allowing the system to instantly recognize discrepancy. When an anomaly is detected, the automated applicator precisely removes the affected unit directly from the batch, ensuring only the correct medication proceeds through the production line. Rejected units are traced back to each of the fill finish process and limiting batch segregation and reducing our cost, of course. Syringes traceability data speed out also our QA investigation, linking issue to specific container and batches. So overall, RFID help us to collect data from each of the manufacturing steps to achieve a real-time visibility and having a control over our processes. So this for sure and smoothen our operations and minimize production downtime.
Thank you. That sounds really exciting. Jenny, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, we would be particularly interested in using RFID to improve our batch traceability and reduce the risk of product recalls. Knowing the exact location and status of each batch in real time would be really a significant advantage. Not to mention what else you could do with all the data. Eric, I assume this would have benefits in terms of manufacturing efficiencies as well.
Yes, you're correct. Unit level traceability is a crucial step or aspect for Pharma 4.0, which we aim to enhance pharmaceutical manufacturing through digitalization, such as also with the IoTs, big data, analytics, and with the AIs. So this level of traceability, especially for primary container in the fill finish stage, enable early detection of quality issues, prompt response to safety concerns, and optimize supply chain operation. Ultimately, it also supports the goal of 4.0 in reducing production costs and cycle times.
Thank you, Eric. So you mentioned supply chain, and let's talk a little bit about the supply chain. There are challenges in the pharmaceutical supply chain that are related to inventory management and counterfeits. We know, for example, that $163 billion worth of inventory is discarded every year due to expiry or overproduction. And that represents on average 4% of all pharmaceutical inventory produced. Ooh. And as an addition to that, falsified pharmaceuticals are also a big business on a global scale, and they represent a serious threat to patient health and safety. In fact, it's estimated that up to 10% of all medicines sold in some parts of the world are counterfeit, and deaths caused by that show estimates from 100,000 to 1 million people. You know, in my country, there are 5.5 million people living. So, I mean, that sounds so scary. Jenny, how do you experience these issues?
I agree with you. Thank you for raising these critical issues. The figures you shared about wasted inventory, and especially about the counterfeit medications, are really alarming. From my perspective, these challenges highlight a crucial need for greater transparency and traceability within the whole pharma supply chain. We really need systems that allow us to track products all the way from the manufacturer to the patient, ensuring authenticity and minimizing waste due to expiry and other issues. So this would not only improve patient safety, but also contribute to more efficient inventory management and potentially reduce cost to us in the long run.
Eric, has the use of RFID at Genuine RX made a difference to some of these mentioned issues?
Yep, RFID has been critical in improving supply chain visibility, traceability, and of course, also demand planning. So we track products from the moment they leave our facility until they reach the end customer. And this helps us to prevent counterfeiting, monitor storage conditions during transit, and optimize our distribution network. So the picture here summarizes the usage of RFID in our intralogistic and manufacturing. So transparency within processes is generated by adding RFID read points to key process steps. Let me take you into a closer look step by step. So starting from step 1, as the product moves through the production line, they are tagged with RFID. A RFID conveyor system scans each tag in real time, automatically capturing all the critical data. And for this, it ensures us to have an accurate inventory record, preventing mix-up and enhanced quality control. So all this lay a good foundation for a full traceable supply chain for us. Then moving to step 2. Once the products are ready and arrive at the warehouse, they are automatically scanned using RFID direction detection gate at entry points, so providing visibility for our inbound inventory. And these gates eliminate the need of, again, manual barcode scanning, ensuring fast and accurate inventory updates. Within the warehouse or inside the warehouse, we have RFID, forklift, to further enhance the efficiency by automatically capturing the pallet ID, for example, and updating their status and their respective location as they move. So for example, for our order fulfillment, the RFID system receives a picking list, telling the forklift to go and identify and retrieve and transport the correct pallets to the designated location. Then move us into step 3. Once the products are consolidated and ready for shipment, they pass through again the same RFID gate, now detecting as an outbound movement. So it's completely opposite from the inbound process that I mentioned in step 1. And the plus point of this direction detection gate is to track the movement direction as they move in or out of the facility. At the stage 4, at this stage, we have a complete visibility into our shipment, ensuring only the right products are in the right location, enabling us for an accurate order fulfillment. So the pallet are now handed over to our logistic partner and ready for transportation. So as they move along the whole supply chain, RFID tracking ensure real-time monitoring, maintain visibility until they reach their final destination, which is step 5 right now. Upon arrival, for example, in hospital, pharmacies, or clinics, RFID help us to automate also check-ins, ensuring that the right medication or medical devices reach at the right facility as they should. So hospital staff can now track inventory, reducing waste and ensuring that critical drugs are always available when they are needed.
Jenny, this must be a key area of interest for BioHealth.
Absolutely. Actually, I would like to hear from Eric how complex this whole implementation phase was. And do you have any tips for companies like us just starting out on this journey?
Yes. So first of all is define your objective and identify your key problems. And then list down what are the top pain points do you have. And of course, you have to also define what is a must-have and what is a nice to have at this stage. Also, do not forget to involve all the important stakeholders and incorporate with their feedback as early as possible. And then choose a small starting point. At the next steps, you can start to conduct a feasibility studies, assess to your current operation, and determine where RFID can actually add values. You can do that together by engaging to a solution provider to discuss about the concept based on your need. So a POC, for example, proof of concept, can take place at this stage based on the input either from you or from the solution provider. And I think it's actually a very good value step to demonstrate if the suggested technology, tag type, read range, or any environmental condition works as you wish or as you expected. And of course, from these studies, then you'll be able to understand the cost versus your return of investment, considering both short and long-term investment. Of course, after all these inputs, then you can begin with a small scale of pilot project. Test the systems, examine the accuracy, and also remember, integrate to your existing system, especially your IT systems like ERP, WMS, or any types of hospital management systems. And lastly, after you have a successful pilot project, train your staff with all this new RFID handling process and clear up a new SOP for the daily operation. After that, good thing is if we have a successful pilot again, everyone is happy and you see the benefit of it and start scaling up and continue to optimize. So in short, start small, learn, adapt, and scale up.
Thank you, Eric. So finally, let's then discuss the final stage of the supply chain, the point of care. Eric, How do you use RFID in hospitals, or how can your customers use it, hospitals, pharmacies? Help us out there.
So the same RFID tag we had on the production line now arrive at the end user, which is stated previously on step 5. So these allow definitely now the healthcare provider to verify the authenticity and prevent counterfeit from entering into the ecosystem. And again, it is very crucial for patient safety and build trust in our healthcare systems. So when the caregiver is ready to administer the medication, or a pharmacy is ready to release the product to the patient, a final query can be made to confirm the drug claims pedigree and authenticity based on its unique movement throughout the whole pharmaceutical supply chain. So let's take a closer look on the videos to help you to and also for me to explain the application. So the key area here are to identify, verify, and build trust. So firstly, we identify by reading the product that has this unique identifier. And next on, we verify via data exchange to the backend system for the authenticity of the product. And if there is any risk of falsified product, it will then prompt the caretaker, ensuring that our patient is getting the right medication.
Jenny, any final thoughts on RFID applications in patient care?
Only that we're very interested in exploring how RFID can help prevent medication errors, improve patient outcomes, and really protect our brand value. So this is really a growing focus area for us. So thank you for explaining further.
Thank you, Eric and Jenny, for sharing your valuable insights. It's clear RFID offers a huge potential for the pharmaceutical industry. And, you know, the entire journey from production to the point of care just demonstrates how RFID creates an invisible yet a powerful bridge. The technology ensures supply chain efficiency, regulatory compliance, patient safety, really important, and to top it all, cost effectiveness. As the health industry continues to evolve, I think RFID will be a key enabler in the digital transformation. And now I'm going to thank you, Eric and Jenny, for the insightful discussion. And I think it's been fascinating to hear about Genuine RX's journey with RFID, as well as BioHealth's perspective in exploring the technology and looking into possibilities. Now, as we step out of the roles of Genuine RX and BioHealth, I do want to highlight that Eric and Jenny represent real-life solution provider companies who can help all of you in our audience on your RFID journey. Erik Ang brings his expertise from Vilant Systems, RFID solution provider, and Jenny Kroon, on the other hand, represents Avery Dennison, an RFID inlay manufacturer. Both Vilant Systems and Avery Dennison have great experience in helping pharmaceutical companies such as yourselves to leverage RFID and to improve efficiency, security, and patient safety. So let's hear a little bit more about what they have to offer. Eric, please go ahead.
Yep. So Vilant System is a global turnkey track and trace solution provider with over 20 years of experience and a presence in 41 offices worldwide with the cooperation of our local subsidiaries. And we have successfully delivered and implemented at more than 1,000 sites across 42 countries enabling real-time, intelligent tracking of material, inventory, and asset. Our comprehensive RFID application help to eliminate mistakes, ensure material availability, and improve visibility, allowing our customer to achieve automated inventory control. And our slogan is always, we want our customer to stay above their inventory management. So with our more than 35 ready-to-use standard solution, we bring our best practice to industrial and healthcare sector. So covering samples, inventory, and asset tracking, helping businesses to streamline their workflows and minimize errors.
Thank you, Eric. And I can say a few words about Avery Dennison. So we're a global material science and digital identification solutions company. Our vision is really that every physical item will have a unique digital identity and a digital life. And we're committed to helping create that bridge between the digital and the physical. We're a big company with over $6 billion in reported sales, and we operate in 50 different countries. And within Avery Dennison Smart Track specializes in large-scale, high-volume RFID inlay manufacturing, producing tens of billions of RFID inlays a year in our 8 different RFID manufacturing sites around the world. So with our experience in inlay design and manufacturing and Turk Vilant's proven track record in RFID solutions, we really offer the pharmaceutical industry an unmatched combination of the world's largest portfolio of high-quality inlays, in-house software development that bridges the gap between the physical products and your IT systems, deep expertise in the pharmaceutical industry, ensuring compliance with all relevant standards and regulations, turnkey solutions, 24/7 support. So really a one-stop shop for handling everything from initial design to ongoing maintenance, minimizing disruption to your operations. We offer global support and scalability to meet the needs of even the largest deployments worldwide, and we have really a commitment to quality. So here are our contact details. Reach out, and you can also catch us at these next upcoming events at Logimat and Logi Pharma. Thank you. Jessica, you're on mute.
So sorry for that. So now we have some time for questions, and I hope you guys have entered really exciting ones. The first question goes to you, Jenny, and here it is. I have heard about RAIN RFID. What does that mean, and is it the same thing that you are talking about?
Basically, yes. So RAIN RFID is a specific type of RFID that operates in an ultra-high frequency range. And this is what we've been talking about today, so ultra-high frequency. RAIN RFID comes from an acronym called Radio Frequency Identification, and it's meant to evoke the connection between UHF RFID and the cloud, where the data can be stored and shared. And it really follows specific industry standards, ensuring interoperability between different manufacturers. And it follows specifically the GS1 EPC Gen 2 protocol.
Thanks, Jenny. So now we have a next question, and this one goes to you, Eric. How is the product data stored?
So the product data is being stored at the level of EPC, as Jenny, you have mentioned. So that's the abbreviation of electronic product data. And each of them will also illustrate or actually image to the product types or quantities and different kind of information and so on. And each of them are unique. So they will be stored either in our middleware systems or directly into your management systems. And there is a GS1 standard with regards to the construction of a single EPC. So in short, it will then contain a company prefix plus a serial number of your product types and plus with the manufacturing date from this specific product and so on. So the question is how big the space actually is, depending actually on what kind of chip that you are using on the tag itself. So in normal cases, I can say that it's probably at so in, let's say in a best practice, or what we have at a larger scale right now is 96 bits to 128 bits.
Thank you, Eric. And now we have another question for you, Jenny. What do you think about dual frequency for the use cases that you presented? So combining RAIN and NFC.
We believe this is something that will definitely happen in the future. It has great potential for the same kind of use cases. But at the same time, I think we need to start adopting both of these technologies separately now before we can really reach to the full benefits. So it's already there and ready, and it can already be used, but it will also add a few complexities to the solutions. So it's coming.
Thank you for that. And there is another one for you, Jenny. What are the temperature limits for the RFID tags shown in the presentation? And what would be the suggested application or adhesive to make sure that RFID tag remains on the asset?
Well, if you use RFID tags in freezer environments, then you may have to make sure that the tag comes with a specific pharma grade adhesive. So it will stick to the product and also last throughout the freezing. So we do have products available that can last especially up to -80. When it comes to cryo freezing temperatures, then you need to do some further testing if it will last. But regular deep freezing conditions are fine for RFID tags. It's something that always needs to be tested, but it is doable.
Okay, thank you. And here is an interesting one. How can you secure information on the RFID so that it cannot be cancelled, or so that you have a mute RFID tag? Eric, would you like to take this one?
It's a bit, I don't really understand the questions, but I can try to answer it. So the communication between the tag and the antenna, so that is the communication that happens between the tag and antenna. And it was, so they communicated via EM wave, electromagnetic wave. And each of them are unique. And as I mentioned earlier, it has a unique identifier with a certain GS1 standard. So each company prefix represents only one company. So there will be no duplicates within companies. So in that, you can actually put filters into our software, for example, or the whole systems, that you actually filter out all the other tags that does not belong to your premises. And then later on with these EPCs, then you can actually use the identifier to actually match it over to your product types. And for that, it depends on what kind of securities or compliances or software compliances that you wish to. We have pretty secure communication there, and that's on the HTTPS level or hash authentication, or even with username or like credential-based username and password communication that communicates directly to your backend system. So for that, then we probably have to discuss, as I said earlier also, involve your IT, especially stakeholder, as early as possible when you want to design this kind of systems, because then we need to discuss about all these securities level issue. So, and the next thing is, how do I actually mute RFID? we do actually have another way of doing that is, okay, so usually when we want to mute a tag is because we have seen them for too long, and because then it also interferes with some RFID tags, so we try to mute them, and that's usually what we use to how to so-called to filter up the stray readings. For that, we have also a filter directly plug and play in our software modules, where you can put in this kind of different session, we call it session, to actually mute a certain tag for a certain time. Or even you can put in a certain timeout for a certain tag and say that, hey, I've seen you before. Please mute yourself for maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, depending on what kind of configuration you want. Then this tag will not be answering back to the antenna anymore. That's how we mute a certain way. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. I was also thinking that maybe the user was worried about somebody changing the content of the tag. And I just maybe point out that it's possible also to make a tag or write the tag information so that you cannot anymore change the content or kill the tag. And the idea is not to save data on the tag, but save all the data in the database and just have the unique identifier. But it's possible to prevent that unique identifier from being altered after it's been given. So if that was the question or the origin for the question, maybe so much as a comment from my side also. And then a question for you, Jenny. Syringe and nest tag in the use case that we saw a little bit earlier, is that both with UHF or is the other one HF? And why choose these particular technologies for the use case?
The syringe and the nest both use UHF RFID. And the technology has been chosen, like Eric's explained during the webinar, that it can be read automatically from a distance. You don't have to have that rotational step during the manufacturing process, and it doesn't affect the visual inspection phase. And when it becomes a question between UHF RFID and HF, I would say that it's because then UHF is more usable in the supply chain as well. If you only use HF for the manufacturing phase, then you would lose out on the potential later down in the supply chain.
Okay, thank you. And another question for you, Jenny. Do you have use cases where tag is integrated in the label that is on the product? And if yes, what are the findings? And if no, why not?
Well, most RFID tags are added to products with a label, but that normally only happens at the end of the manufacturing process once that product is finished and labeled. And you can use it from then onwards as well. The point of having it incorporated into the product itself is really to have that traceability all the way from the manufacturing of that syringe all the way to the end. But you can find the same benefits for supply chain if you add the RFID tag with a label. You just won't have that visibility during the manufacturing.
Thanks, Jenny. Now, one more question. How does what you've shown match with the future digital product passport? And how do you see that applied? And I guess Eric, Jenny, both of you might be able to answer that. Shall we start with you, Jenny?
Yes, well, UHF RFID can be used as one of the triggers to be used with that upcoming digital passport legislation. So it is one of the triggers. I don't know, Eric, if you have anything to add specifically on this.
Yes, I think most importantly is also to build the business case around it. So if you apply a new technology or a new label, so to call, into the whole ecosystem, you have to be benefited with all the cases moving through around. So for example, in pharmaceutical industries, starting from the production line, you are using the same tech all the way back end to the point of care. And for that, you'll be able to build up the business case around it. So the question previously was talking about whether UHF or HF. Yeah, at this stage, a NAS tag, for example, would be actually quite beneficial for just HF. Yes, because of the close distance that we have, but then it does not actually benefit in the future when it comes to the production, supply chain, logistic, and everything, because then you require too close of distance of that, and that's the main difference between UHF and HF. So yeah, for that, I would say, yeah, it has to fit into all business decision, whether it's worth it to do or not, and so on.
Thank you, Eric. And I think maybe you can also help us out with one more thing, and then I think we will run out of time. There is a question, are the readings always 100% accurate? And we get this question, I think, Eric, you will agree with me, a lot. And the person who's asking is also saying, I am told inaccuracies with multiple readings can present a problem at times. So, Eric, what do you say to this?
Yeah, so basically, I don't think anyone as a solution provider can guarantee 100% reading accuracy for anything. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm not confident enough to say that, okay, I always get 100% on everything. Of course, that's the aim that we want to go to. And we always try to deliver as close as possible to 100%. So that's one thing. Yeah, so how do we actually then reach up to this kind of high level of accuracy rate that we want to achieve? That's why we try to also set up a different read points, different kind of hardware setup, and also software algorithms to actually help us to achieve that. So for example, there will be cases like, can I actually read up to 100 items in a pallet through a gate, direction gate, for example, that I've mentioned? And I can tell you that at this stage it's almost impossible. Yeah, we can test, we can challenge the technology, as long as you don't ban the physics law, as long as you don't tell me that I want the EM wave to move in a direction that I want to. Yeah, I cannot do that. So we can test it, but I can tell you from our experience throughout delivering and implementing into customer environment, that is actually a quite challenging boundaries that we are going to. And this is what we don't want to challenge. That's why then I will try to actually reduce the number of tag. And how do we actually do that? We then build a new handling unit before that hand. So if you remember, I mentioned earlier in the supply chain within the warehouse, we actually have the pallet ID. So pallet ID actually consolidate all the products into a whole pallet. So it's the same thing like the NAS tag. The NAS tag actually contain all the information of all the individual PFS. So whenever you read the NAS tag, you actually do the bookings of all these individual items through a certain read points or different stages. And that's how you actually then try to deliver an accuracy of almost close to 100% that you actually want to. So in short, try to build a handling unit or try to define also what kind of handling unit that you can accept at different stages. And then, yeah, then see how we can build around that. Did I answer the question?
I think so. I maybe also would like to add something. And that is that if you think about retail, which was mentioned earlier, the likes of Walmart, Zara, and so on and so forth, they don't achieve 100% either. The idea of RFID is also to accumulate the data. So not only do we try to see where we can combine things, like Eric explained, to a virtual handling unit, but also we try to read often, because RFID systems fix themselves. So if we miss a reading in stage 1, because we will do another reading in I don't know, maybe 2 hours, we can then see that particular item again. And the whole thing is, it is corrective. So it's sometimes confusing to look for 100%. If we know what we are looking for and we know we are expecting these things, then we also know that we are missing that one item, and therefore we can do a new read until we find that item. That's not something you can do with barcodes. So RFID systems per nature are corrective and try to fix such issues as described here. And software algorithms, as Eric mentioned, are an important part of that. I also know that we have several questions here still unanswered. Unfortunately, we are now running out of time. We will do our best when we send you guys some follow-ups by email to answer a few more questions in written, or please feel free to book a time with us, with Jenny, with Eric, to discuss those things that you have addressed. And thank you so much on behalf of Vilant Systems and on behalf of Avery Dennison for participating today and being so active with your amazing questions. I hope you have a really great evening or a really nice day, if that's still ahead of you. Please join us again. If you are at Logimat or Logi Pharma, please join us. Come and say hi. And thank you so much more for attending.
Thank you.